Check this out. It's the middle of the month, rent is already paid, groceries are stocked, and your friend just dropped that last minute invite for a weekend getaway. You unlock your banking app, ready to brace for that depressing single digit balance, but instead, see half of your paycheck from last week is still sitting there like, hey, we're good. There's nothing for you to worry about. The first time this happened, I almost spilled out my coffee. Because trust me, right? I'm not a trust fund kid. I didn't land some six-figure promotion, and I definitely haven't won the lottery. I just rewired my budget to funnel 50% of every dollar I earn straight into my saving, investment, and future me goals before I even think about spending it. And it might sound crazy, right? Because for years, I thought living on half of my income meant ramen noodles and saying no to every social plans. Turns out, with a minimalist mindset and a few dead simple system, you can pay yourself first, cover the essentials, and still have a life. So in the next few minutes, I'm breaking down exactly how I flipped my budget, killed my money stress, and started watching my bank account grow on autopilot. No deprivation required. Let's get into it. Number one, reverse engineering your paycheck. Now let's start with the move that makes the whole thing work. Getting half of your paycheck out of your spending reach before you can even think about spending it. Now here's how to crack it. Step one, calculate the real essentials. One Sunday, I opened a blank note and listed all the bills I had to pay, even if we had a zombie apocalypse. Rent, groceries, phone, transit pass, basic utilities, and I don't even have any streaming bundles, no fancy gym pass I have to go to twice a week. So the total at hand, I saw that I needed about 40% of my take home to stay afloat. Then we move on to step two. Split your income at the source. I march into my online banking, open a high yield saving account, nickname it Future Me, and set my employer direct deposit to send 50% there and 50% into my checking account. The moment payday land, half the money vanishes in the best possible way into my saving plus investment. I never even get to touch it because it never even arrived at my everyday bank account. Now we go to step three. Let your check-in run on wells. All my main bills are scheduled on auto pays a few days after each deposit hit. Anything left in my check-in after bills equal guilt-free spending for lattes, date night, or spontaneous road trips. If my balance shrink early, well, tough luck. No dipping into my saving because that cash is already chilling in the future me. And I know exactly what you're thinking, right? Why this work? Well, first of all, zero willpower needed. I'm lazy by default like most people, so automation means I don't rely on daily discipline. And the next part, instant clarity. I know exactly how much money I have without even having to use a spreadsheet. And the cool part, exponential growth. The constant 50% compounding quietly every month while I'm out here living my life. So try it yourself, right? Open a second account and nickname it something motivating and reroute your next paycheck there. You'll be very surprised how quickly you could save money without a lot of effort. Number two, the 3-bucket spending map. Essentials, experiences, and growth. So now, the money you keep in your checking account needs a game plan, right? Otherwise, it sneaks off for late night door dashes and $9 almond milk lattes. And the way to solve this is, well, I solved that with the simplest budget I've ever stuck to. 3 buckets, no micromanaging. First, we have essentials. That takes about 70% of your checking, which include groceries, transport pass, utilities tops up, pet food, and etc. Experiences takes about 20% of your checking. These ones include dining out, concert ticket, weekend hikes, gas, bus snacks, the usual. And lastly, you have growth, which takes in about 10% of your check-in. Those include online courses, books, skill building apps. So now you must be thinking, right, how do I build this? Well, start with real numbers. I export the last 3 months of transaction into a spreadsheet, color code them, and notice that 80% of my card spending fell neatly into these 3 categories. As for everything else, like random Amazon gadget, impulse decor, those were more like noises. That alone gave me an idea of where my money was going. And to make sure I keep everything organized, I decided to give each bucket its own debit card and app folder. Essentials live on my main debit card, experiences use a no-free fun card that earn dining points, and growth get charged to a separate credit card capped at its monthly limit. Like that, whenever I glance at my balances, they tell me where my finances stand, plus I don't have to do any mental math. And while I'm at it, I also decided to give myself a weekly allowance instead of a monthly one, So every Friday, I move my weekly allowance into each bucket. Weekly refills means that if I overspend on sushi Wednesday night, I only have to survive 2 days on a low budget and not having to wait 3 weeks before my next allowance. Number 3, lifestyle design, not deprivation. All right, now let's get one thing clear. Living on 50% of your income isn't about becoming some kind of financial monk who live off instant noodles and never leave the house. That was honestly one of my biggest fears when I started this journey. I thought budgeting meant cutting out everything fun, living with the constant FOMO, and saying no to almost everything. Spoiler alert, that's not sustainable, and it's definitely not minimalism. So what actually worked? Well, flip the script from what do I have to cut out to what kind of life am I trying to build? That little mindset shift changed everything for me. I started thinking of money as a tool for lifestyle design, not just for bills and saving, but intentionally crafting the kind of daily rhythm that makes me feel good, excited, and grounded. So how did I do it? Well, I first defined my rich life, and it wasn't fancy car. For me, feeling rich meant slow mornings, time to work on creative projects, spontaneous dinner with friends, and the peace of knowing that I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. And once I got clear of that, spending decision got way easier. And I also decided to build a budget around those joys. Instead of forcing myself to give up on coffee entirely, I just made it part of my experience bucket. Instead of cutting out travel, I started doing low-cost weekend road trips that still fed my adventure side. Minimalist budget helped me to lean into the stuff that I love, just with fewer distraction and better planning. And think about it, right? If I spent $12 on lunch with friends and it fit into the plan, great, that's not a failure, it's design. And that's the difference between budgeting as punishment versus budgeting as empowerment. So if the idea of living on 50% sound extreme or restrictive to you, don't panic, because it's not about going without, it's about going on purpose. And once I aligned my budget with the kind of life I actually wanted to live, that 50% number didn't feel limited at all. In fact, it felt more like freedom. And honestly, once you start living with this kind of clarity, you won't even miss that mindless spending. Number 4, automation is greater than discipline. Now let's be real, right? Most of us are not the most disciplined person when it comes to money. Like for example, right? Put $100 in my checking account, and I promise you 100% of the time, I'll find a way to accidentally spend it by the end of the week. A latte here, a random Amazon find there, or even maybe a cool shirt I definitely don't need but somehow deserve. Sound familiar? And that's why automation completely changed the game for me. When I first decided to live on 50% of my income, I knew that I needed a system that didn't rely on willpower, because willpower fades, especially after a long day or when your mood is all over the place. So I set up an automatic transfer that moved my money the moment my paycheck hit. And here's how it looked like, right? Step 1, pay myself first. The second my income lands, 25% goes straight into my saving, and the other 25% go into my investment account. No decision, no temptation, no maybe I wait until next Friday, just done. Then we move to step 2, leave only what you can spend. Whatever's left in my checking account becomes my fun money. This is what usually goes for groceries, gas, coffee, dinner with friends, more like my day-to-day life stuff. And because I've already covered my priorities, I can spend this guilt-free. And lastly, let it run in the background. Once everything is automated, I don't have to obsess over spreadsheet or constantly tracking every dollar. It's like setting my budget on autopilot. And it actually works because it completely takes me out of the equation. The cool part, it takes the emotional drama out of money. No more latte mental math, no more concern after an impulse purchase, just a simple system that honors my value without requiring daily discipline. So if you're trying to stick to a minimalist budget, but you keep falling off the wagon, it's not because you're bad with money, it's just that discipline is overrated. So build a system that doesn't depend on motivation, and watch how easy saving money becomes. Number 5, measuring progress and staying motivated. Lastly, let's be honest. Saving money is kind of like going to the gym, right? In the beginning, you're excited, you're pumped. You're like, yes, I'm going to live on 50% of my income and become this budgeting expert. But then a few weeks goes by, you're still eating leftovers, skipping brunch, and suddenly you're like, why am I doing this again? That's where tracking progress comes in, because if you don't actually see how far you've come, it's way easier to burn out or slide right back into your old habits. For me, I had to find ways to make progress visible, something that actually reminded me of why. So I started checking with myself once a month. Nothing complicated, no intense spreadsheet or crazy finance app. Just a simple moment to ask, how much did I save this month? How close am I to my next goal, like an emergency fund or a trip I'm planning for? What did I do this month that I'm proud of? Sometimes I'd literally just write it down in my note app. Other time I'd open my bank app and started smiling, seeing that my saving went up. Even if it's just by a little. That tiny win, instant motivation boost. And here's the fun tip, right? Set milestone rewards. When I hit my 3 month of saving 50%, I let myself buy that really one nice thing I've been eyeing for a while. It made the journey feel worth it, and it's way more sustainable. So the bottom line, you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. And the best way to be consistent is by celebrating the small wins along the way. Minimalism isn't just about restricting, it's about building a life that feels lighter, freer, and that's truly yours. So track your progress, hype yourself up, and keep going because you're closer than you think. So now, if you guys get any value from this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and push the notification bell for more on sustainable fashion, personal finance, and minimalism. I'll see you guys on my next video.